After that, Gypsy couldn't walk anymore. She had a muscular disorder. Dee Dee told me she would need a wheelchair. And I asked her, I said, man, she's got a lot of issues. What's going on, And uh, they had done some tests and found out she had a chromosome disorder that was causing all of her uh, functions from developing, her digestive system.
And I'm not even sure that I know a chromosomal disorder that does that. That in a way to say like a chromosomal disorder that causes you to have a bunch of developmental issues, but you can still make perfect eye contact with people. You can still sing songs on command. You can still answer questions and talk about life is nothing but a fairy tale and do all of this. You know what I mean? Like really interact with the public, okay? Even if it's at a level where people can see or think that you have some sort of brain development issue, like a childlike behavior issue, IQ level, intellectual dysfunction, that kind of thing. Okay, but still, you're able to connect. I've seen a chromosomal disorder called Kudishat, where I think it's like they have an extra chromosome. Guys, comment below if you, you know what I'm talking about. Anybody? Sadly, it is when the child is just basically just not there out of it, and they have this high pitched cry, and it's almost like a kude shot is translated in English to cry of cat, right? And it sounds like a when they cry, it almost sounds like a meowing of like a cat. And I took care of a baby like that. She was 4 years old. She didn't even know I was there. She feeding tube, the whole bit, couldn't walk. She couldn't interact, which was the most saddest thing actually. Like you would pick her up to because she would cry. So my main thing was like, let me pick her up and like kind of pat her. When your baby cries and then you pick up the baby and then you pat the baby to make the baby kind of relax and mommy or caregiver, the child could not the mind could not configure that I was doing a soothing thing for the baby. And so she didn't really wrap her arms around me. I mean, to me, it's still like, I'm still going to pick you up, but it was more like she couldn't she couldn't receive it. Very sad, right? So yeah, so this one I would it was just I would have been that nurse there like, but I don't know, Didi but she's looking at me like I don't understand. The brain is still developing in a way where it's kind of not really chromosomal. This is obviously Gypsy's father who, was saying like Didi was just telling me constantly that there was another issue and a new issue and a new issue and a new issue. Okay. And he's gonna listen to because mom is always on top of the things with the kids, right? So it makes perfect sense that he listened to her. I would have been that friend that she would have definitely got rid of though, because I would have been like, I don't know, this isn't adding up.
System and her muscular system. Dee Dee told me she's not gonna live to be, you know, 18 years old. She may be an old teenager. That's about it. I was like, really, it was shocking. It was disturbing, and to see her 23 years old now, perfectly healthy, it's just it pisses me off.
This picture here, I don't know if this was the surgery where she got her stomach lining wrapped around her esophagus.
No, she would have had that earlier. She had that feeding tube way before then. You know.
She was 10 here.
This was probably close to the first year or two when she was in a wheelchair.
So let's pause right there. And so now we, as an introduction, so we're on part 2 of this documentary of looking at Gypsy Rose, the ins and outs, the total details of the Gypsy Rose who's running around here with the new nose and the hair and the teeth and everything and all excited and manipulating men still, right? So, we're going through part 2 and just this is the dad, like they're looking and they're talking about it. I mean, really, the lining surgery for a stomach lining wrapping around the esophagus, never heard of it. Never heard of it. Never heard of it. It is insane. Like, it's not insane that they would fall for it because, again, if you're not in the medical world, you would just be like, okay, that's mom, right? But it's insane that Didi even came up with such a thing. How did she describe that to them? I've never really heard of that. So we're going into it, guys. And just real quick, if you like the videos that I've been making, please don't forget to hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the notification bell. You know, we really get into this stuff. We're talking about all the psychological aspects, the medical aspects, everything. Of course, I do have a registered nurse background, so it makes it kind of like cool to really look into this and think like, I've never heard of this, or if it was this, it would look this way, you know. So we do all that together. So I do thank you guys for watching. It is very interesting to see how far the mind can go with anything, you know. I mean, and for Didi, this what we now know Munchausen by proxy. My goodness, wow, it is something else. It really was. It really was.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart knowing she got put through all of this when she didn't need it.
14 years.
And that's something that should break your heart. I want you to be clear. I'm on my other episodes, I am hard on Gypsy Rose. I am, but it's not like I'm hard on her and just like, oh well, so but something happened to her. Oh well, like, you know, she needs to just get over it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying beware. That's all I'm saying. It's like beware, because it's sad that happened to her. That all this stuff should not, this medical abuse, it should not have happened to this person. But also beware of what kind of person that creates. That's all I'm saying. It's not even necessarily her fault who she is today. When I say who she is today, the manipulation, there's a lot of layers you got to peel back, right? So it's not really her fault, but it's still a result.
To be confined.
Last 14 years in a wheelchair.
I couldn't imagine.
I've never encountered anything that is even close to what Gypsy has gone through. Her mother appeared to have taken great steps to keep Gypsy in a very juvenile role, making her act several years younger than her actual age. It appears that Gypsy was not even aware of what her actual age was.
I called her for her 18th birthday, and Didi said, don't tell her she's 18, you know. I'm like, what you mean don't tell her she's 18? She said, no, she's 18. It's her 18th birthday. But she don't know she's 18. She's, you know. I thought it was weird. You know, I always did know that.
So, okay, let's let him finish the sentence.
She told me her mental capacity was, you know, like 5 years behind. You know, when she was like 15, she was like, oh yeah, you know, her learning is coming along, but she's like, you know, mentally at like a 9 or 10-year-old.
She looks.
We need strong men, though. We need to. And these situations, like, this is how to, you know, like, of course this happened when you see the guy who's around. Now, they weren't living in the same house, though. They weren't. So we'll give them a little grace there. But yeah, we do need some sort of I don't know, like, because it goes back again to me, but I told you that I really compare Didi and Jeanette the same to me, the absolute same. But there's the guys always like, I mean, Jazz's father is an absolute, like, I mean, his balls are in a vice. So, you know, and then this guy's like, oh, don't tell her she's 18. I don't know, man. I feel like a lot of people I know today would be like, what do you mean don't tell her she's 18? Well, you know, her mental capacity, she thinks she's 15. Okay, so what? But I can still tell her she's 18. What do you mean don't tell her she's 18? You know, why are you telling me not to tell her that or something? I don't know. Anyway, what's done is done. What would have been done had been done. What was going on is going on. So it didn't matter anyway.
It's like she would be 10 and 11, and she was probably like 21, 22. I wonder what she was thinking.
Hello, everybody. This is Gypsy Rose reporting from Aurora, Missouri. I am about to dive off our porch into the pile of snow. You ready?
Let's run it back. Let's run it back. And I hope, look, just if you can't see the screen, it says most replayed on the screen. I want you to see again what we just watched here. So let's run it back so we can break it down. We're gonna do a breakdown, okay?
Hello, everybody.
Now, somebody who's paraplegic is not gonna be able to sit on the ledge like this. That's a fact. Because the bottom is going to have to hold up. You have to be able to hold up your body, right? Your spine. You can't just like sit there, like you can't, or even holding, sitting there like that and then waving like hello everybody. You're going down. You know what I mean? Like that's bottom line. Like if I can't even imagine seeing a paraplegic patient who can't walk in that position. They're, first of all, the muscle tone is not even going to bend so good. You're holding yourself up. That means you have good muscle tone. It would be more of they kind of have like a slidey type feeling. Okay. So this right here would never be. And then let's look at the land.
Honey, this is Gypsy Rose reporting from Aurora, Missouri. I am about to dive off our porch into the pile of snow.
Just even the movement. Look at the strong, you know what I mean? We're sitting strong. Like, yo, man, these people are crazy.
You ready?
She lands on her feet first. You know, she lands because when I first watched it and she landed on her feet and then she starts going like, you know, doing that high pitch laughing. I thought she was screaming out of her mind because I'm like, that must have hurt or something. Like to land on a dead weight. How does she like what? The whole time she could walk. So that not even that. I was thinking like if this was true, but then when she screamed, I was like, well, maybe she did have a problem, but she's laughing. This could never be true. She landed on her feet and then calmly went down to the ground. It is insane. It is insane. She just moved her legs.
It's hard to
Extraordinary. She wow.
answer a lot of questions about who Gypsy is, right? Because she was somebody else for such a long time. And now we know her as almost a completely different person.
I'm Erin, as you remember.
I would be curious if anybody Gypsy has talked to feels they're getting the full story.
This is actually kind of the first time I've been honest. Besides being honest, you know, my attorneys, even that I haven't been completely honest with them.
Hear that? You see, this is y'all. This is the girl. Because there's once in a while I get comments where people are like, you know, she went through a lot. Hold on a second. I hold on.
How would you describe?
Chick just said this is the first time I can be honest, except for with the attorneys. But I wasn't really completely honest with them. She wasn't completely honest with them. Well, I wonder what she left out. What did she leave out? How bad was it really? You know? Yeah, man, you got to think a little cynical when you're dealing with people like this. She just said it out of her mouth. I wasn't completely honest with my attorneys. Right? I mean, they weren't going to be completely honest with us either, right? That's what they get paid to do. Right? Master manipulator right there. Master manipulator. I'd go as far as saying that Gypsy Rose is more of a master manipulator than her mother.
Describe your mom.
Unique. I mean, I used to always think that maybe she's a little overprotective. So if I had to say one word about her, it would be overprotective. How old are you? You're one.
In what world? In what world? Like, hold up, yo. So you mean to tell me, right? So like Gypsy is this is I talked about this footage. So you're telling me that Gypsy's one here, right? How old are you? One. Like that. What world? So does she have mental health defects, right? Developmental defects. Remember, the father said that Gypsy, you know, the mom said that she had developmental defects. A 1-year-old being able to tell you that I'm one like this, okay? We need to call somebody. You know, we need to give a phone call like, yo, I got a genius. I birthed a genius.
And where's your cranial? Very good. And where's your findalis? Yes. Very, very good.
That baby was about 2 or 3. 2 or 3. Like, because Fendali's, come on. I think at what part of one? What part of one? Like, I know there's a moment, I think around 2, um, the baby can be like, nose, eyes. But did you never get the whole how old are you? 1. You just don't get it. Wow. This is Jazz Jennings' mother. Jazz, when Jazz was 2 years old, Jazz told me that she wanted the fairy princess to come and take away her genitalia so that she could be a girl. Okay.
I really didn't think any abuse was going on. It's like when you're abused, but you've lived that way your whole life, you don't really know that you're being abused. You don't know any different. Looking at the open ocean now, and it's beautiful. I knew that I was different, or my life was different from other kids, but people thought of us as, the sweetest mother-daughter family ever. The best 2 people in the world.
What illnesses did your mom say that you had?
Asthma, epilepsy, hearing impaired, vision impaired, fed with a feeding tube, paralyzed from the waist down, slow, so retardation, and among other things. I just can't remember them.
Let's go over the document. Here we go. So epilepsy, vision impaired, hearing impaired, GI reflux, quadriplegia. I'm sitting here playing around. So paraplegic. All right, let's work with our terms here. Para, you hear para, 2, quadra, 4, quad, right? So paraplegic would be like paralyzed. Most of the times people are paralyzed from the waist down. The paralyzed, it starts from the bottom and then goes up, right? Never really hear people being paralyzed from the top down. You really don't hear that, right? Because it's just not a thing. That's not how it works. So paraplegic is your legs, okay. Quadriplegic would be you're fully, because now we're talking about all 4 extremities. Now, the only time I've seen a exception to that rule is that I did have a patient he appeared more quadriplegic to me, but he said, because I was like, why do they call you he appeared more paraplegic to me, right? And I asked him because he was moving his arms and then like he would kind of like pick up things or whatever, but like and place them down, right? Like, but the thing is he had a limp, he didn't have muscle tone in his fingers, so he was diagnosed quadriplegic because he said, I can't really grab a cup and drink it. He was like I can maneuver things. He's like, I do have full control of my arms. And in fact, he said, really, when I was first diagnosed, he's like, I couldn't move at all. Like I couldn't move at all. But like my arms and stuff came back and my torso. But my fingers, since I still can't fully grasp things, they just keep the quadriplegia. Right. Okay. I don't understand what was going on with you. So, okay. Muscular dystrophy, anemia, which considering all the stuff that Aditi was doing to her daughter, she could have been losing blood. That's very easy. Hypoventilation. So she needed a CPAP at the age of 10, which is weird because you have to do a sleep study for that. Really with asthma, allergies, mild mental, defects, leukemia, incontinence. Somebody typed that wrong. Matter of fact, the mom must have been typing this. Lung disease, heart murmur. Okay. I mean, it's just like it's like a, it's a Rite Aid, just right now. As a matter of fact, this is a nursing home, like, supply closet. Actually, they might have more supplies in that closet than they do in today's nursing home after everything that's been going on with our infrastructure.
I was on breathing medication for seizures, medication.
So we got here, this is Bactrim. This is, I just spelled this wrong. That is an antibiotic, diazepam. That is given sometimes, for seizures. It's like an Ativan. It's Valium. Lactulose to help you move your bowels. Fluticasone. This is just like Flonase. Loratadine is Claritin. For allergies. I mean, just full on old people medication.
To help go to the bathroom, pain medication, anxiety medication, just everything. I would have to put on the breathing machine every night. I hated it though, because it seemed to make my breathing worse, not better. And then another machine was for the feeding tube.
All right. So let's do a little bit of a breakdown. So first, she talked about. So we'll end off this part with a breakdown, right? And this is it's going to get very detailed. Okay. So with the breathing machine, right? She had the one that it went into her nostrils, not the whole mask, right? So that is very uncomfortable. It's even more uncomfortable for somebody who can breathe throughout the night. What happens with people with sleep apnea is that when they're sleeping, they stop breathing, or like they get into such a deep sleep that, like, they're not taking breaths. So the machine pushes air. It pushes air into your lungs because you do that. Because a lot of these people, when that happens, it also messes with their mental, right? They could start slurring. A lot of our, like the older patients, when they have the sleeping machine, they have COPD. You can tell when they're not using it because during the day they're totally out of it. I mean, it's to the point where they can't even like talk. It's weird, right? It's because they're like an end stage lung disease kind of thing. I had a patient one time, the daughter came running back to, actually wasn't even my patient, it was somebody else's patient. The person didn't know what to do with him. They were getting ready to call 911 because he looked like he was stroking out in front of his daughter, kind of slurring, and the mouth was like dropping, like hanging off to the side and the whole bit. They ran back to me because she was getting annoyed with the actual nurse who was dealing with her father. So then she ran back to me. She saw me. She said, "My father's not speaking. He's slurring his words. Something's not right." So I ran in there, and I could tell by the way he was talking, his blood gases were obviously elevated. He was in some sort of respiratory distress. So I grabbed a CPAP and I put it right in his face and I turned it on. And then in the matter of like literally 1 minute, he started to perk up and wake up. Yeah, because he was not, like, the carbon dioxide was actually taking over. And so he didn't have enough oxygen in his lungs. So that's where the gases were like fluctuating and he wasn't in homeostasis. And I was like, "You're not wearing this at nighttime. You can't be wearing this at nighttime, because if you were wearing this at nighttime, like you're supposed to be, you wouldn't be going through this during the day." Because that's when it also, making sure you get the proper amount of air into your lungs will help you with during the day, keeping the right kind of blood gases in your body, your pH levels. Okay. So that was the thing. Now, this is called a Mickey button. The feeding tube, this is the connector, right? So this is the Mickey button, and what happens is there's like a tube that you would connect and click, you hear it rotate and lock. The reason why they don't keep with kids, a lot of kids have a Mickey button because, or you might have a patient with intellectual disorder who will have a Mickey button, because if they have the regular tube coming out of their stomach, they can pull the tube, and the actual balloon that holds the tube in is inside the stomach, and that's obviously going to cause an issue. So with the Mickey button, you can get the tube, you click it. So now it's open to the stomach, and then or intestines. Sometimes the food goes straight to the intestines. Matter of fact, that's exactly where it goes. And it's about what part of the intestines it goes to, because you really digest, you get your nutrients mostly from your intestines. And then you would connect it to a feeding tube, and then the stuff will go in. Okay. And it is very, first of all, this one, the skin around it is a mess. So there you go. Right. And so, I get it. I get it, man. And we're not even nowhere near breaking everything that's happened to Gypsy, what Didi did. You know, Didi is extraordinary. I mean, really. Even for a moment, we'll stop. Like the next episodes, we'll just keep it we'll keep it on Didi, because it is going to be on Didi. And what Didi did. I keep saying that, right? So we'll focus more on Didi, because this is Didi's turn. This is all her doing, because, you know, she chose to do this to her child. And we'll go deeper with the Munchausen by proxy. They'll get into Didi's like past, who she was, what she was about, how she handled her relationships with other people. And it is quite fascinating in a very negative way. I'll see you guys at the next video. Bye.